Hey there, Aaron here with Growlawn, uglyweeds.com, Director of Agronomy. Today I'm going to give you an example of what a service call / consultation looks like with Growlawn and what separates us from the competition. The customer had some concerns of some localized dry spots, and so I went out to check out the yard and discovered they do have some St. Augustine decline as well. So what you're about to hear is a live recorded session with our client and how to solve the St. Augustine decline and then the localized dry spot. The footage you're seeing is 2 weeks after the consultation, and they made adjustments to the sprinkler, and the lawn's looking really good. I'm recording a conversation for training purposes, just so I can show my team. But what we talk about. Okay, so this is what St. Augustine decline look like. Yeah, you see all that spots,
Yep.
the spots on the leaf blade.
Uh-huh.
So what probably happened is like a variety that isn't resistant to St. Augustine decline was planted at some point.
Yeah.
And then usually mowing equipment transfers this virus from one yard to the other.
Right.
So the remedy to St. Augustine decline is just to plug in varieties of St. Augustine that are resistant to this disease. Raleigh is going to be your most common in the area. Floritam would be another example. Del Mar, Amerishade. There's plenty of ones that are resistant to it.
Okay.
You have what I would recommend Raleigh in the DFW area for most everyone, mainly
Right.
because of its cold tolerance. It has its things that I don't like. It tends to get brown patch, but of all the things you don't want to get St. Augustine decline because there's no cure. I can at least treat your brown patch and stuff like that. I can't. There's nothing I can do for this.
Right.
So once your grass, your Raleigh in the back is good and established, you can just take small plugs from that and plug it in here and use a Pro Plugger. Let me grab my Pro Plugger and I'll show you what one looks like. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a Pro Plugger, and
We got a cheap one.
yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you an example of once your backyard is established, I would just buy one of these, and then you pull it. See how it pulls a plug there, and then pull them from the back, and then you can take this plug now of your Raleigh. Your moisture level right now is about an inch.
We've been watering quite a bit, but maybe need to run it longer.
Yeah, look, because
I got it set for running about
pretty dry.
15 minutes.
And it watered this morning.
So I'm going to leave you a
Maybe
catch
that's
can.
one of the reasons why the grass isn't doing very good.
It is.
It's shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you plan to do, is it all new in the back?
Yeah.
And what kind of what?
2 months.
It's 2 months old.
Well,
Okay.
about 2 months old.
What was your watering schedule the first 30 days?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. How many times a day?
Probably twice or more.
Twice a day.
I think it was twice a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we planted it right when all the rains hit.
Okay.
So we didn't have
didn't
to-
to
Right.
water
In the spring you didn't need to.
Right.
From about a month ago, we haven't had any rain, and the temperature went
Right.
from medium to high. And
Yeah.
so every year you can count on Mother Nature turning off the water in June, and from June through sometime in October, you're going to have a high water bill.
Yeah.
Okay, no more Mother Nature. Whatever we get from Mother Nature in that time period, thank you.
Yeah.
If it rains, it's good for a couple days, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's so hot that your soil is going to dry out fast. I'm going to show you some thermal imaging of along the concrete here, of it where it's really hot and dried out, and you can see it's drying out from the road in.
Well, I find it kind of interesting that that's the new
Mhm.
grass.
Well, not right there.
Oh, I thought they put that there.
No, it was along that edge of the drive.
Oh, I thought they put some on the edge. Okay,
Yeah.
never
And
mind.
it's new over there, a certain patch of it.
Yeah.
And it's not doing good at all.
It's kind of starting to struggle
No,
now.
it's
Before it
50%.
was looking beautiful.
It's 50% gone. If you go look at that, it's 50%
Really thin.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's walk over there. See what's going on. So is this the area you're talking about?
Yeah, this all got resodded here
Okay.
because we tried to put a bed here and it never would go.
Yeah, and it was very lush, and now it's going back to the way it was before.
We know we got to get our sprinklers looked at more because I think they're just not.
Squirrel.
So that's dry too, Don. It just watered this morning.
Yeah.
Well, what about over here? Is it dry over there too?
Well, you have two things going against you here: shade and it's dry. And so your biggest thing that you really can't combat a whole bunch of is shade.
Yeah.
And it's not established yet.
So it should have been established. There's
Yeah.
no reason why it shouldn't have been established.
So in order to
Wow.
to establish, so yeah, there's not much root system here. So when it gets hot, like it is,
Wow.
it's gonna struggle.
That's awful.
So for your establishment, which you can kind of start to establish this again, is have a watering guide on the website, and basically it's going to say water 4 times a day for 30 days.
What about the city ordinances?
When you plant new grass or whatever, you have 30 days. So, and a lot of times they'll say call them.
Yeah.
You don't typically need to call them unless they say something. Yeah. And then I would send them a picture pull up your grass and say, it's new grass. We have 30 days to establish it.
Yeah.
And so you kind of fibbing a little bit because you didn't put it in yesterday.
Right.
But you do need to water it 4 times a day for the next month.
Why would this not have established? It's been 2 months. Why wouldn't it have been
It's just not getting the frequency of the water. So when you put down new sod, frequency is important, not so much watering it deep, because it can only absorb a small amount at a time. Yeah. Water it 4 times a day, 7, 11, 3, and 7.
7, 11.
It doesn't need to be for very long. 1 to 2 minutes a zone, and water it like that for the next 30 days. And then that'll help you get established. It's dry. So your sod was like, you have about 1 inch of moisture throughout your whole, the front yard here. Your soil moisture should be 6.
Yeah.
We're reaching 100 degrees.
That is a really good of a long soaking, right?
Yeah, to get your water depth. And it's hard because when your clay soil dries out.
We don't have clay.
Well,
Whatever.
We have a little, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, in order to get your moisture down in clay soils, or let's say you have a somewhere in between, you have some clay in your soil. When it dries out and gets hard, it's one watering is not going to go down 6 inches. So it's going to take several times to get it down there, and you might do what's called a cycle soak. And an example of that would be, let's say your whole system takes an hour to go through. I don't know how long it takes. Well, this is just a math.
Yeah.
So say you have 6 zones, each one runs for 10 minutes. That takes an hour. Run zone 1 for 10 minutes. Let all the zones go around, however long you want. And then as soon as they're done, let's say you start that at 7, start again at 8:05 and do the same thing. Let it run an hour. And then at 9:10, give it a little 5 minute in between. And then at 9:10, water it again. So whatever you're watering to get to your, let's say, 1 inch or 2 inch or however much you want per week, divide it up in 3 times in a day, and then you reduce the amount of runoff you get when you're watering. Because when you water, let's say you want to get 1 inch, and you have to water your sprinkler system, let's say, an hour to get 1 inch, you're going to get some portion of runoff within that hour because your yard is not going to be able to absorb an hour worth of watering. Especially clay. If you have some sandy clay loams, they're going to absorb better. If you have sand, I mean, you water all day and it's probably not going to run off. Okay. When clay dries out, it turns into almost like rock hard.
So what do you do if you don't have clay?
Well, you do want to get your moisture down to 6 inches from 1 inch to 6.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, yeah. You'll probably get there faster since you don't have a lot of clay in your soil, but you want to get that cycle soak to get your moisture to 6 inches.
Okay.
Your grass doesn't look bad now. It looks really good compared to a lot of other people, but you're at 1 inch of moisture. It's not gonna be long from now when your yard really starts to show the heat, how hot it is outside, and it's gonna really struggle.
But I've got a hunter system that how many times can you do start times on the same zone?
I have.
So I could do that, start it, and then a little bit later let it go again.
Let's say you want to program A, let's say you just want 3. You typically will have 3 available start times.
Okay, I'm going to use it 1 now.
Yeah, just use 1 program. Now you can get complicated, and let's say you wanted to run it 9 times in 1 day. Yeah. Then you'd have 3 starts. Right.
Well, until I get that 6 inches established, we need to do that.
With new grass, your goal isn't really soil moisture depth; it's frequency, because it's your root system is an inch, let's say. And so you can't absorb a whole lot of water at one time. That's why it can't go for very long without you watering it. And I'm saying water 4 times a day, not for very long. You only may need a minute. You'll need to come out here and watch how long it takes for you to start to get maybe a little runoff. I'm going to leave you a catch can to measure exactly how much each zone puts out for you, because every sprinkler system's different. I could tell you to water 15 minutes on this zone. It's going to be different for the person across the street. So I'll leave you a catch can, and then you'll go through each zone, start your timer, and then you'll have your catch can, and then you'll know exactly how much to water.
Okay.
So what do we do about our root rot up front?
Well, it's
Your St. Augustine decline?
Yeah, whatever that
Your
is.
St. Augustine
Plug it.
decline, the only cure for that is to propagate a variety that is resistant to St. Augustine decline, which is what you have in the backyard Raleigh. There's a Marishade, Floritam, Del Mar. There's a bunch of other ones that are resistant to it. You just plug it in your St. Augustine here. Now, your St. Augustine up here doesn't look bad. It's a slow death. I had it at my last place. Parts of the year it's going to look really sick. Parts of the years it's not going to look so bad, but it's going to.
We lost the whole backyard last time.
Yeah. So
It was really bad back there. For some
right,
reason.
and you typically get it from mowing equipment from one yard
Alright,
to
so
the
if
other.
we have it up front and they mow our lawn and they go in the back. and
Raleigh
they
won't
mow
get
our-
it. Raleigh is resistant to St. Augustine decline. So once you get your Raleigh established in the back, you can use something like this Pro Plugger. Take plugs from your back or here wherever your Raleigh is, and then plug them in here. It's a slow death. St. Augustine decline is a slow death. What will happen is, that happens, your Raleigh will just spread out. You'll never even know. It'll just turn into Raleigh. Now you can go to the store and buy pieces of Raleigh and put it in your yard, and that would be a faster way.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need to do that. I think if you just use something like this, if you want to buy a couple squares, probably 5 or 6 squares for your entire front yard, if you break it up into pieces, would be enough.
Okay.
We got to get a sprinkler guy out here to raise them up too, I think.
Yeah. So if they turn on and they're spraying the grass and not clearing the grass,
Right.
you're going to have problems. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
But your backyard looks great. When you see the leaf blades of the St. Augustine start folding together, that's drought stress.
Ooh, okay.
But I mean, even if it was watered adequately, would the blades still do that
No.
in 100-degree plus weather?
If it can do that in the evening, if it doesn't recover by morning, you definitely are not getting enough water to cover it. But now, if you have it, you wake up and you come out here at 10 o'clock or 8, whatever, then you wake up in the morning before noon and they're folded together, that's bad.
Yeah.
I would water along the concrete of your pool area and then areas where your sprinkler system isn't covering the best.
What about fertilization?
Let me tell you what I would do, or what I would recommend to my parents do. I would apply something with phosphorus in it, like an 18-24-12 or 12-24-12. Doesn't matter. So something with a high number and the middle number's phosphorus. I want to get some of that down first. I would want to put down a fungicide. Newly planted St. Augustine is real susceptible to gray leaf spot because of the frequency of the water the first month, or the establishment month, and then maybe the month after. So I'm going to want to put a fungicide down to.
They told us not to do any of that.
Who did?
The lawn people that laid our grass. They said
Right.
nothing.
So in the green industry, there's a lot of misinformation, and you don't really know if you don't know, you don't know. So what I hear a lot is, don't fertilize your grass when you first put it out. It already has fertilizer from the sod farm. Well, what does that mean? Does it mean at some point the sod farm fertilized the sod? Well, of course they did. But does it mean that they fertilized it before they cut it and brought it to you? No. But even if they did, they cut 90% of the root system out,
Yeah.
and you have 10%. So how much fertilizer could you possibly have in it? Not a lot. Now, how much fertilizer and the time of year plays a big factor. Like, for example, the amount of nitrogen and potassium you put out, because it's very salty. When it's hot, you have to be careful of how much nitrogen and potassium you put out, because it's salty and it can
It'll
burn.
burn it.
When it's 100 degrees, you have lower rates of nitrogen and in even low phosphorus. So you have to be cognizant of what your rates are. You can't just go out throwing a triple 13 out with your spreader wide open.
Do you know what we need to get? Because I'm not.
Are we taking care of your lawn?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
We
I'll take
always
care.
have been for several years.
Okay.
But
The
when we
new
put
sod.
this down, we helped.
Right. Okay.
And when our bees died, we just stopped
Okay.
everything for a while.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
But if you know what
I'll have
the
them-
guys do.
Yeah, I'll
we
have
can
them the
turn
next
it
time they're
back on
here.
and have Melanie schedule it.
Yeah, the next time they come out, I'll have them put down an organic, which is it's half organic, half synthetic, and so it's lower rates, so it's not going to burn anything.
It's liquid.
It's not liquid; it's granular.
Last time they did their granules, man, they left it all over my driveway, and I had to get out there to sweep it up. They catch the guy when he comes out and tell him to turn his spreader off when he goes
Yeah, all right.
across the
I
driveway.
can put that in the notes too. 'Cause
Yeah.
some people, I'll tell you what, more people than not want to see granulars on their sidewalks and driveways than
Not me.
the other. I know you're in the lower percentile because it's an indicator of we did something,
Right.
right? So if they don't see
I trust you
anything,
do something.
yeah. Well, that's why we do it. But we carry a blower in our truck, so if a customer requests that we blow off the granulars, we will.
Yeah.
But I'll put everything in the notes, and you really don't have to do anything. Let me go grab a catch can,
Okay.
and then I'll leave it with you, and then
Okay.
you can measure out each zone and figure out kind of how long it takes to water
It
each
should
zone.
be like an inch on the catch can.
The catch can has measurements on it.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So almost at the very top is a half an inch. And so you just come out here and with a stopwatch and turn it on and maybe run it for a half an hour
Mm-hmm.
and see how long you get. Yeah. And you have to do that with each zone.
Right.
And then put the catch can in your areas that aren't doing so well, and then measure that too.
Yeah. Well, we got to get out.
If we get rain in June, July, and August, you'll get a flush, and it'll look the best it's ever looked. You have a subtropical grass, so when there's no such thing as heat stress, because your grass loves heat, loves 100-degree weather, but it also loves a lot of water with the heat.
Okay.
If you get a lot of water and a lot of heat, it'll be the best your grass ever looked.
That's what we need to do. Basically, our whole problem is we need to water more.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna turn this recording off now. So stay tuned to the channel. Please subscribe.